we hear that Billy Joel music, we know it's time to talk fantasy football. We do it on our live show here. Welcome to the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital, our YouTube channel. Of course, you can check us out in some of the other places where we broadcast today, Boy Green. You're always on top of the sending it out to the people.
Yes, of course. So several places. You could check us out. Our Facebook link that just went up, brought to you by our friends over at Play It Again Sports Syracuse. More on them in just a second. You can jump in on our Facebook page and leap into our conversation. We're streaming live on the 2 YouTube channels, my YouTube channel and the MC Show Digital YouTube channel, and of course on my Twitter, at BoyGreen25 as well, which tags through our lovely guest here in just a moment, Joe Bartel, RotoWire.com, and everything else. So yeah, we're all in, baby.
All right, well, let's bring Joseph in and let's bring him to the stage and talk some fantasy football. He was not too happy a few seconds ago talking about fantasy football. What's got you down in the mouth, Joe? Come on, we're in the heart of fantasy season. It could be all smiles, no smiles.
Yeah, for the last 30 minutes, I've been debating between do I play Jalen Tolbert, Marquise Brown, or I think it ended up being like Alec Pierce in a bunch of my Bucky Irving, Chuba Hubbard related lineups. I mean, this couldn't be a bigger poop sandwich than what we have seen with the first round of buys here, and then the just consequential injuries that only my team seem to be affected by. I am probably more irritated than I have been in a long time in fantasy, and I'm going to just let it roll today. That's you guys are going to all feel it.
Joe Bartel raw. All right.
Oh, okay.
Let's get Joe raw. He's always so diplomatic. Now we can just let him loose. Yeah, okay. I'm kind of in a quandary like you, Joe. This is the first bye week, and in some cases, teams are hit hard. And I never plan my draft around buys. Let me ask you if you do and should people, because I'm in a nightmare situation. It's number 1 against number 2. I'm in second place. I'm facing the first place team in our Champs League. I want to win badly. Of course, you always want to win against the first place team. And I'm down my top 3 players. So I'm like, man, this isn't fair. This isn't right. But if I planned it better, maybe it would be fair. It would be right. So let's talk about that. Should you plan buys when you draft a team?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a lot about the value that comes there. And I had a lot of Packers. There's a bunch of Bears, right? If you have like the Drake Londons, and then you also have the replacements of the Romeo Doubs or whatever, you're probably hurting right now. There's one league where I literally either have CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, who cannot play for multiple weeks, or all players on bye. And you can't drop a Kyle Pitts. You can't drop Bijan Robinson as well, right? Like, so you just have to have 0 people available, and hopefully you roll out a roster. I don't plan teams based up around the buys. I think there's a certain point where maybe it's a bit of an overload, like when you have 3 or 4 people on a 9 starting roster, and really more like 7, right? Because we have the dumb kicker defenses that always seem to hurt me too. I think that becomes a little bit dramatic, but also you think about it the other way. All right, so you get this out of the way. Oh, boo-hoo, you're going to be 3-2 and still be top of the league because you've been killing it this year. And then you get to not have to worry about that, and you'll be going against everybody else who does deal with it. There are pros to stacking buys in 1 week, especially early on.
Yeah, I would say this, just jumping on the buy thing. I have it for all our sheets when we're doing the live fantasy draft together. I have that slot where you guys can just put what your buy is and then have it on all the paperwork, so you're sort of aware of it. But I agree, it's not going to overweigh if I think there's great value in a certain.
Right.
I'm pulling the trigger on the guy that I want. I'll deal with whatever uncomfortabilities, whatever casual things that I'll just have to deal with. Hey, it's somewhat inconvenient with what I was looking for, and like you just deal with it there. So for sure.
What about Show with Boy Green Digital? We're talking with Joe Bartel or RotoWire.com, our insider. Go ahead, Boy Green. I didn't mean to step on you there. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Step on me as you've been doing the entire league so far. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But
what I enjoy, though, that kind of stepping is fun.
Yeah. And he normally says something right before he does it too. But one of the fun things, because we always get to talk to you, of course, Joe, coming off of Thursday Night Football, the start of the week of whatever the week is with our conversations on Friday, a lot of fantasy football, wild game in general, but specifically from a fantasy perspective, a lot of fantasy relevance coming off that game with all the injuries for the 49ers of Brock Purdy, Jawan Jennings. You had Ricky Pearsall out as well. So, Joe, what was your reaction? And so any surprises from Thursday Night Football and you from a fantasy perspective?
Yeah, the whole game. George Kittle also out as well, too. I'm
right.
also annoyed because that shouldn't have happened. At least it's not my Packers doing something stupid as they've done the previous 2 weeks, but that felt very much like the Packers being just inconsolably playing down to the level of their opponent. I don't understand how that keeps happening, but I had one in thinking this was going to be a Rams blowout. It's at home. They're favored by 8.5 points. It's one of the largest differences in the Week 5 spread. It felt like the Niners were completely punting that game. And I know NFC West games are weird, and I know that Thursday games are weird, but not to the extent where we should have been picking up Kendrick Bourne, who goes 6 for 120. Like I thought, if anything, it's a revenge game for Demarcus Robinson, former Ram, that maybe scores a touchdown. I guess if you played him 7 points in full point PPR leagues is fine. I had friends telling me, well, I don't know, I'll play Jake Tongas because the Niners have no. I'm like, no, this should have been 30-3. Like, I mean, the way that we talk about the Texans games and how bad that offense is, I have no idea why this ended up happening again. And it's frustrating as somebody that's supposed to know, do this and know this for a living to be able to like correctly guess these sort of scenarios. But I was completely caught off guard that Kendrick Bourne was going to be literally wide receiver 10 overall in full point PPR leagues. And Jake Tongas, who had been getting some targets, I didn't think would score that early touchdown and basically be able to salvage fantasy days if he had him too. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. And then of course, with the Rams and their tiny funnel, if you went against Kyron Williams, for sure, you probably lost this week. And Puka Nacua has been basically a guaranteed win every single week as well, too. And that didn't change at all as well. And I mean, there was a few leagues where, given all the injuries I have a lot of Bucky Irving and Chuba Hubbard. I played Blake Corum, because Blake Corum theoretically should have been in a really good spot if the Rams did what they're supposed to do. Well, he fumbles on that first toss, ends up not playing the rest of the game, basically, and that is a complete dud as well. And I see in the chat, just rotate your kicker and defense. Theoretically, against the walking wounded of the Niners, you play the Rams defense, right? No, dumb Joe. I'm going to try not to say different words. Dumb Joe decides to go a different direction. Oh, let's play the kicker. Well, he misses a 53-yard kick as well, too. I am pissed at really how the last 2 Thursdays have went, but certainly this one.
All right, let's do that follow-up.
I always think Thursday night is an anomaly. I really do. It is such a hard game to predict. Is it going to be high scoring, low scoring? Is it going to be sloppy? Are you going to get some stars? We've had a couple that have had stars. We've had a couple that have really been clunkers. Go ahead, BJ. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I just want to go like Joe is rapid firing. Whoa, watch out. Gotta watch out here. So he brought up this question from Aced10 in our YouTube chat. Well, he says, when it comes to kicker or defense, I change it every week. He plays the matchup. And that's something I deal with in the Champs League. I've got 3 defenses. And the problem is like, if I just relied on the one that I drafted instead of all these other ones I'm just picking up because I'm overthinking things, sometimes you miss out on something because you overanalyze it. Despite your difficulties and things that you're currently dealing with, do you suggest doing that? Brian Drake, of course, writes a great column on a week-to-week basis talking about this sort of strategy of streaming in both, mostly for defense rather than kicker, but still, nonetheless, that could also obviously play a role.
Here's my suggestion to you, Boy Green. Okay. Why don't you stock 3 Ds and 3 kickers on your bench? And you can figure out who to play.
No multiple kickers.
That's just ridiculous that you have 3 defenses on your team.
Yeah, you're like
overthinking. Point. Go ahead, Joe.
Overthinking picking up one random defense. If you have 3 on a roster where you can only have 6 bench spots, that feels absolutely moronic to me. So I guess I feel better. I feel better that somebody else in the league is making worse decisions than me. We're going to be competing for the same spot here at this point with how dumb my decision. I literally, and this is, I mean, we talked about this. Paul had messaged me individually last week when we were getting ready for the show and be like, oh, Joe, it looks like the 5th consecutive week you have, or 5th consecutive year you had the most points scored against you. It's like, yep, that's just the Joe Bartel luck. The Midas touch of Joe Bartel, the stink of Joe Bartel, is also getting every defense wrong, kicker wrong. Brian Drake could have told me a million times over, go ahead and pick up Spencer Schrader. He'll score a bajillion points. If Joe Bartel picks up that person, you can get them 2 points. It's a guarantee. It does not matter matchup. So ace up 10. Yes. Theoretically, if you're a normal person who doesn't have the luck that I do, that would be the right call. Play the matchups. It sounds so easy, doesn't it? Not when I touch any defense or kicker.
Well, Joe, listen, I always come to you for advice when I'm thinking about the problems and issues that I have. When it comes to kickers, I think you should come to me because I am the kicker lord. I am the kicker king.
The guy who took Brandon Aubrey like in the 5th round.
My problems are solved. I just sit back and watch Aubrey. But I have streamed kickers in the past when I have been forced to, and other people have taken top kicker. I have streamed kickers, and I always do pretty well with it. But it is potluck. It really is potluck. It's nothing you. It's nothing me. It's just potluck, in my opinion. Go ahead, BG.
Yes, I see I have a question coming in here from Discord, actually. So shout out to the people that are on Discord and the Boy Green Leagues. We'll have to do that eventually for the Manchild show. This is from Johnny Boy. Says, all my wide receivers died. Tyreek Hill, Malik Neighbors. What should I do? I'm calling on anyone to save me.
No, just quit. That's where I'm at this week. I see Matthew Bates in the chat says Joe Bartel's fired up. Yeah, I am. I am. This is great content. I am fired up. I don't know. I mean, again, I literally sat here for 45 minutes before the show, asking about or like figuring out, do I play Jalen Tolbert? Do I play Alec Pierce? Do I pick up Hollywood Brown? And that was my wide receiver 1. I have to start 3 receivers. I don't know. That with the combination of the bye weeks and the multitude of injuries, serious ones too, with the Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill being high drafted guys. In my case, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans. You only have so many injured spots to stash, and even if you're in leagues to have those too, it is brutal. I don't have a great answer, unfortunately.
All right, sorry, Johnny. Positive here for a minute. Joe, a rather surprising first game, I would say. Or were you surprised? I know we talked about him last week for Jackson Dart, my Giants quarterback. So, you didn't really feel at the time that he's fantasy relevant, or at least yet. Do you still feel the same way? Are things changing more quickly than you thought with Jackson Dart based on what you saw in his first start?
Yeah, I think my exact words were, you'll play him this week if you're picking him up because against the Saints. And that became even more apparent with Lamar Jackson joining the crusade of injured players in my team, that you're probably playing Jackson Dart or Tua. Those are your streaming quarterbacks this week. I maintain that between the double Eagles stack, Niners and Broncos in the coming month, Jackson Dart outside of this week and certainly last week shouldn't have been rostered. 6 of his 10 runs were scheduled runs. That's Brian Dable protecting his young quarterback. And he still ends up attempting under 23 pass attempts. Now no Malik Neighbors as well too. You're playing Jackson Dart because I'm in many leagues where I have to. But that does not mean that I'm buying Jackson Dart as a fantasy asset, nor do I think he's going to be the reincarnation of Justin Fields from a couple of years ago, where you got him off the scrap heap, his quarterback 5. That's just not the level of athlete Jackson Dart is. And while I love his moxie, from a New York Giants perspective, this is great. I really think we're overestimating what Jackson Dart can be from a fantasy perspective.
And Joe, let me just follow up with, you got Jackson Dart who goes out there, and I think he ran for 51 yards. I think that's the number. It's still sticking in my head. And then you got a guy like Trevor Lawrence who hasn't even run for that, and he started every single game. Is Trevor Lawrence a fantasy relevant player at this point, or will he become one? Jacksonville's winning games, but it almost seemingly in spite of Lawrence.
Yeah, and Lawrence hasn't played well, and neither is Brian Thomas Jr., who was a late first-round pick, and I think is probably, as much as I want to be upset about all the injuries, and I have so many, at least I don't have to play Brian Thomas every week and just hope that ends up happening. Now, I can feel very confident. I think I'm playing Brian Thomas in 4 leagues. Guarantee he goes off this week. This is going to be if you could trade for Brian Thomas this week, do so because you're going against Joe Bartel and a bunch of them. It's going to be a slam dunk. I guarantee that. But this should be a tough match against the Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence has been, I think, erratic in that regard. And I would play Jackson Dart over Trevor Lawrence if I didn't have the Midas touch of badness happening right now. I think that makes complete sense with the rushing floor that Jackson Dart gives you relative to how inconsistent Trevor Lawrence has been.
You're just not. The cynicism is getting to you.
I mean, it is boiling. I will probably have to go something after this because I have to do a 2-hour Sirius XM show. Hey, this is good advertising. Tune in today because I can guarantee you there's going to be a bit more emotion that happens throughout the 2-hour Sirius XM show in about an hour and a half here. I'm feeling. I can tell you that.
You thought Mario Puig was tough on players. Get ready for Joe Bartel's rap.
It's tough on Joe Bartel. It's not going to be tough on the players. It's just all my dumb bad luck. Just simmering. Yes, that's probably a good way of putting it.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Matt from Auburn. Oh, hey, Matthew Bates, Flexbot, Michael Pittman, or Quinshon Judkins?
Judkins every time. But I love what Judkins has been doing. That was actually one of the guys that I feel really good about recommending in hindsight. For as bad as my leagues have been, I think actually, if you followed my advice entering the season, I think you're at a pretty good spot. You avoided the Travis Hunter landmine. You have at least had a chance to get the Justin Herberts of the world at quarterback if you wait long. And Judkins was one of those guys, especially mid to late August, that if you drafted him around 12 and later, I mean, that could be a league-winning pick with the volume that he's getting. Supposedly, with Dylan Gabriel's first start, the Browns are somehow going to be asking Judkins to do more. I saw that quote early today. We had 25 carries. The Browns have 40 offensive plays during a game. I don't know how much more they can make Judkins do, but yeah, I have to have Judkins in my lineup right now. And that's not to say Michael Pittman's not a bad play. In fact, I'd very happily trade for him if the manager that had Michael Pittman wasn't recognizing that he's basically a wide receiver 2 every single week. But I think at this point people are, and that, going back to the question, like both are really good spots. And I think you're in a very fantastic area when you're deciding between the two for a flex.
Well, Joe, I know this is a very broad question, but, and the NFL, in my opinion, at least so far, and I know this from the football picks, has been hard to predict, what is going to happen. I certainly expected the Rams to come out and beat the 49ers last night. And once that game started, I was like, okay, this is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. And I just kind of had that feeling maybe the Niners are actually going to win this game, and then they end up pulling it out. But sometimes we have these things, we call them slam spots, where there's just the right defense against the right players. And you say, like, this is a week, you got to play this guy against this team. You could really, get something big here. Are there any slam spots this week?
Yeah. I mean, I do the picks against the spread on RotoWire. That article gets posted probably late Wednesday. I think I've went 6 and 26 the past 2 weeks. And I think it's a little bit better for you guys because there's a few that I'm like, I don't know. And I sometimes forget what I wrote down on Wednesday compared to what I text for Boy Green on Friday. And either way, I mean, it has been tough. Again, the perfect example last night. I mean, I don't know how the Rams lose, much less don't cover 8.5, but it is what it is. Slam spot. I think one of the top waiver wire pickups this week was Woody Marks, who was available in 70% of leagues. When I did the waiver wire article on Monday, I would be plugging and playing in Woody Marks right away. Now, I guess the good news is there are so many other running backs that are injured that if you picked up Woody Marks, you probably had to anyhow. But against the Ravens, the way this defense has been playing, I actually think this could be a great spot for the Texans. And reverse, if you are in super deep leagues like me, I don't mind Justice Hill against the Texans. If you think that Cooper Rush will be bad or the Ravens offense just won't be very good or keep pace, like this could be a 10-7 game at the end. I mean, again, I've been entirely wrong about everything. So this could be like a 40-40 game the way it goes. But in that scenario, Justice Hill has probably been a good pass catcher too. And we've seen him have instances where there are scheduled screens. That's the way I'd stop the pass rush of the Texans, which has been very good this year, is to have more of Justice Hill and Derrick Henry catching passes. I don't know. Woody Marks to me is like a slam spot must play if you picked him up this week.
Again, we're speaking of Joe Bartel, our fantasy football expert from RotoWire.com. He's bringing a lot of chutzpah this morning. That much is clear. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you guys like the video and hit subscribe. Shout out to our YouTube watchers on the Boy Green channel, the Manchild Boy Green digital channel, and on Twitter as well. Make sure you guys continue to submit your fantasy questions because Joe is fired up to answer them. There's no question about it. One thing I do want to get into with you, Joe, is there's a lot of injuries at quarterbacks. How does that affect all of the other pieces around? We just talked about, you mentioned Quinshon Judkins with Dylan Gabriel making his first NFL career start. Baltimore, it looks like Cooper Rush is going to be the guy. Jaden Daniels could be coming back, but there's a couple of these, Carson Wentz in Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy just got officially ruled out minutes ago. So there's a lot of these quarterbacks that are out. How does that affect the rest of the piece around them in some of those scenarios we just mentioned?
To me, you would say this is going to be one of the lower scoring fantasy weeks that we have seen in recent memory. And I felt very confident prior to Thursday, where you have Kyron Williams go for a 30 bomb, Puka Nacua do well, Devontae Adams, and if he played Kendrick Bourne, for example, or Mac Jones, like there's more production than I would have thought. It's not just the injuries like Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Also, I know it was a couple weeks ago, but it's still a factor in this equation too. I know Baker Mayfield is banged up. He probably should be able to play, but it also goes to, again, the first set of bye weeks. So you're missing Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix was a low end streamer as well too. You weren't playing Aaron Rodgers, but if there's Lamar and Joe Burrow and now two other guys out there, and then you also have replacements, maybe you're in a 2 quarterback league, you're looking at a Joe Flacco, for example. I mean, like it's just bleak. I don't anticipate anything for the Browns offense. Passing wise, like Isaiah Bond was a popular waiver wire pickup this week. Maybe by default, attrition. Back to Johnny Boy's question with all of his receivers dying. I guess Isaiah Bond's probably the pickup to play. The Vikings defense has been inconsistent in that regard. I think there's gonna be a lot of low offense just across the board with the running backs all being banged up as well too. I mean, there's been 3 backfields. The Commanders being the most irritating one, at least for the majority of the season. But now the Cardinals with Trey Benson, there's been Twitter arguments about is Amari DiMercato or Michael Carter the better play. I don't want to live in a world, guys, where I have to decide between this, but I do. I mean, I had that conversation all of Wednesday. I spent 3 hours watching tape on Michael Carter Jets and Amari DiMercato to figure out how that's going to. Yeah, you should be happy about that. That was torture in itself. I mean, that's why I was fired up
last week.
I mean, this is. I just. That's what we have to do this week. That this is a legitimate conversation, and then compile on the Bucky Irving part of things too. Somebody picked up Trevor Etienne in my league because Chuba Hubbard's out. That's because they're speculating Rico Dowdle doesn't get all the. This is just gross. So I'm assuming whether quarterback injuries or otherwise, it's gonna be a low scoring fantasy week.
So, Joe, if that's true with what you just said, I'm going to boil this down because this decision I'm about to talk about, I think a lot of us deal with on every fantasy team we have, and it's upside versus floor. So we could have two players on our bench. One, man, this guy could score a lot of points, but he could score no points. Well, this guy, I feel pretty good about him scoring at least this. I don't know how much more than that he's going to do. So to the words you just said that you're like, boy, this could be an incredibly low scoring fantasy football week based on all these injuries around the league. Could that affect all of our decisions across fantasy football with that decision that we have to make between upside versus floor play? If we think what you just said is going to be right, would that affect those decisions in your mind?
I can see what you're saying with that. If I think it's low scoring across the board, then I don't know if there's as many ceiling plays out there that maybe I'd almost counter. And again, I can't get anything more wrong than I have the past 2 weeks. So just fade every advice I give. But my argument would be like, if I can get 12 points as a floor from something, that might be more valuable because even the star players might not be able to do so, or it feels like it'll be inconsistent to ask for that to happen in some of these matchups. That I would almost zig the other way. But I understand, like, if you felt more, if there's even like a 65% chance that the ceiling play can hit in your lineup, I think I'm throwing them out there. Okay. I just don't have a degree of faith that this week in particular, you're going to be able to see or have any confidence kind of projecting that stuff out.
All right, talking with our guy, Joe Bartel, RotoWire.com, Fantasy Football Insider. We do this every Friday live. Jump in the comments right now if you haven't already. If you have a question for Joe, we're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors at Play It Again Sports, and then we'll come back and we'll go to your comments. Start, sits, trades. I got a couple for Joe, but throw yours into the comments right now. Be right back. Warm weather sports season is here, and if you want to gear up and save money on some of the top brands of golf, soccer, and baseball equipment, and much more, Play It Again Sports can be your solution. With both new and gently used gear, Play It Again has prices way less than regular retail stores. And for all you golfers out there, get some quick money for those clubs you've got stashed away and are collecting dust. Play It Again is always looking for quality gear. No appointment necessary. Just bring it into the store. Play It Again Sports in the DeWitt Town Center on Erie Boulevard. Don't spend more. Play it again. Play It Again Sports. Syracuse.com. Back talking with Joe Bartel, our fantasy insider. Joe, I don't know if you play golf, but our friends at Play It Again have donated a golf driver, a Hybor XL Cleveland. I'll show you the club itself. It is not a used club. They do sell some used stuff at Play It Again as well. And this one is still wrapped in the plastic. $400 retail price. All you got to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. You see it right there, youtube.com/MC Show Digital. Become a subscriber today, and you are in the lottery for that pick. As soon as we reach 500 subscribers, we are giving it away for nothing, courtesy again of our friends at Play It Again. All right, I want to go to some comments, Joe. Before I do that, one quickie from me, and that is this. If you have players like, I'll use a couple of examples. I don't know if they're the best examples in the world, but someone like Quentin Johnston, who's really blossomed here. Roma Dunze might be another example. Do you think about, if you have those players, trying to trade those players for value, for more established guys, or do you just hey, you got a hot thing, you stick with the hot hand? Give me your thoughts on using those two guys as kind of an example.
Yeah, and I think let's throw Michael Pittman into the mix, because Dunze isn't quite the same way. I mean, that was a 5th round pick that's elevated to, if we're to redraft today, probably more like a 2nd rounder. But I mean, overall, I understand the premise. I mean, do you capitalize on the found money? That's a principle.
Those points already are in the bank, baby.
Correct. Right. And people might be chasing that. They might look at it a different way. They might not be watching a lot of Dunze stuff and be like, he's just producing really well. What's supposed to stop the Bears? The bye week's done, for example. There's a lot of reasons to say you have found money, and when do you convert that into people that you're speculating on rest of season turning things around? I don't know. Okay, let's just say back into the 1st round, for example. That was Christian McCaffrey. That was a win. Ashton Genty, outside of 1 week, I still have faith in Ashton Genty. I totally understand if others do not. For example, Brian Thomas Jr., I don't have a lot of faith in that. We talked about Trevor Lawrence earlier. Malik Neighbors done for the season. Amon-Ra St. Brown was a win. Puka Nacua was the biggest win in fantasy right now. You can't really convert a few of those windfalls, found money guys, let's just say again, Roma Dunze, into the St. Browns of the world, because the draft capital associated with them, coupled with the production they're having, even if you think a Dunze can do what St. Brown has done all year, which I actually do think is possible, the person that drafted that guy in the late 1st round is not doing that. So to find a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-2 trade that makes sense outside of working with Jamie that's not going to be an easy thing to do. And I think most leagues, that's the problem I come into. The separate issue or the separate question I think is actually really interesting is if you have the Michael Pittmans or Quentin Johnson in the world, let's just say conservatively around 10 or later pick, Quinshon Judkins, another example. At what point is that going to be something that you convert to, I would call a way to overall upgrade your team? I love Juwan Johnson. I've been playing a lot at tight end. I would love to have a Trey McBride, right? For example, I know that there's a person in here that has Trey McBride, but a more consistent, reliable option at that position, or a wide receiver 3. There are instances where I will say, if you can find the appropriate value for that found money, the Quentin Johnsons, Michael Pittmans, Quinshon Judkins of the world, to upgrade the totality of your roster, when you get a round 11 slam dunk pick, you can often do a 2-for-2 trade that benefits you. You get 2 starters out of that. That's different than the Dunzeys of the world, or Emeka Ibuka is another good example as like a 5th round guy that I think is elevated above that. And I love seeing those types of trade questions because I don't think it's always oh yeah, do this or don't do that. I think it really is situational depending on what your needs are and the person acquiring them is.
All right, let's get to some questions. We have a super chat coming in, baby. Appreciate that. Big Papamatics coming up here on the channel. Thanks for the $2 super chat. Should I trade Nico for JSN?
Yes. I appreciate that we got the super chat in there. Love that we're getting some interaction in that regard. This feels like a no-brainer to me. The only issue is I think Nico's going to have a really good game against this just ridiculously beaten up Ravens defense. So I don't necessarily want to make that deal after this week, but I think JSN is going to have a defined amount of volume for a certain point of the first 3 weeks. It was Puka, St. Brown, and JSN as the top 3 fantasy receivers. And I do think rest of season, JSN is going to be at that spot. So I would much rather have JSN for the entire rest of the way, except for this week. I think Nico's going to have a really good week.
Well, my opponent jumping in here this week, it is number 1 against number 2, and Big Al Swerodowski is our number 1 team. Is the only undefeated team in the Champs League. And Joey asked this question: what's the secret sauce this week for me to beat the Manchild? How about the fact that my 3 best players are out as the secret sauce? Although we are in a battle, Joe, you mentioned it earlier. He has Puka Nacua. I have Kyron Williams. So it's kind of like a, tay last night. Nobody really wins. Maybe I win a little bit on Kyron because he scored a few more points.
Yeah, and Puka has been a bit more like in the 30-point reliability and
Every
only
week
gets 24, whatever it was. Yeah. No, I would answer. I don't want to give any sort of answer to that because I guarantee you'll be wrong. I mean, there's a reason you guys are at the top. You've been everything correct, and I think having the 3 players on bye certainly makes a difference as well too. I would not lean into these results and assume that's what happens next time in the postseason that these 2 teams meet up. I think a lot will change here in the next couple months.
But it'd be nice to keep a 1 in that column for him, in the L column. It'd be nice to have a 1 over there instead of a 0. Okay, BG.
Yeah, by the way, what's up with all these people? So our next question here from DJ Dirty Cooch here. He is playing against me in one of our lower leagues, and now our opponents are asking questions of us live on the show here. Well, what's BG going to do with Bucky Irving being doubtful?
What are you going to do?
I don't know. I guess it's a question.
Joe, what's he going to do?
Yeah, what am I going
to do? To get the Amari DiMarcado train going, or Michael Carter as the former Jet guy. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Bucky's not going to play. I don't think he plays next week either. So just get to enjoy that. I don't know if Chuba Hubbard plays next week as well. I mean, it's going to be brutal, I think. And unfortunately, we didn't get enough information early from teams to make an appropriate decision. And if you had the roster spaces afforded to be able to speculate on that, I dropped Rico Dowdle in earlier in our Champs League because I don't need a running back, but I also needed a receiver. I didn't have the option to go ahead and wait. I mean, like if you had the option to speculate on a Michael Carter, DeMarcado, or Rico Dowdle, like I guess more power to you, Rashad White. You get to reap the benefits of us lesser plebes who have had to sweat out their roster week to week.
All right, here's one. This one, we got some start sits. So we'll jump through a couple of them here. First, this one, Jerry Jeudy or Jalen Waddle from Matt and Auburn. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually think Dylan Gabriel will help the Browns win football games, but I don't know if there's going to be a similar amount of volume to what Joe Flacco was doing. I think Kevin Stefanski is going to schedule things for Gabriel, and especially those first 2 drives, I wouldn't be surprised if you see the rookie kind of generate points. I mean, we made this argument last week with Jackson Dart. What is I don't want to say it incorrectly. What was the Yankees pitcher who went for 12 Ks last night?
I'm going to miss his name.
Yeah, we all know it. I just don't want to say it incorrectly and get us like banned or something. But there is part of having that rookie pitcher called up for those sorts of moments because you don't have the baseball teams have tape on. I think Dylan Gabriel is kind of the same sort of way in a weird travel week anyway. Is interesting to me. I mean, I picked the Browns to cover. I wouldn't be surprised if they outright win. I guess spoiling the pick section for a little bit. Like I think he'll do fine. I'm still playing Jalen Waddle though, because in my mind, again, I've been wrong about everything. Prepare to be wrong about this too. The easiest and smartest decision for Mike McDaniel to replace Tyreek Hill is just have Jalen Waddle, who is as fast, not quick, but as fast as Tyreek Hill, to just do that stuff. To just have a Tyreek Hill role be occupied by Jalen Waddle. And then you have Malik Washington or Nick Westbrook-Akine or Darren Waller if you want to. They can do the Jalen Waddle role. What I'm worried about is that Mike McDaniel will do the dumbest thing and instead have like Malik Washington beat Tyreek Hill or something like that. And I can't project it. So in my mind, I'm going to go ahead and just say it's Jalen Waddle that does that stuff because my plea brain is the only way I can comprehend it. But it's not without hesitation right now. So I'll play Waddle over Judy. But I mean, again, maybe just fade my advice.
All right, and here's another one. Javonte Williams, who's had a really nice start for the Dallas Cowboys and kind of locked himself into that one role, or Tony Pollard. This is a nice first world problem.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it is Javonte Williams. Tony Pollard's been okay as a runner. They just can't score. And I do think the Titans can be competitive against the Cardinals. I just don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals actually being a good team. But even still, like, you're asking a lot for Tony Pollard to end up making up the volume that Javonte Williams gets with that very small funnel in Dallas. Javonte Williams does not have to score. The Cowboys don't have to beat the Jets for Javonte Williams to have a good fantasy game. We saw it, I think, even last week against the Packers. Like, if it's just 3 catches for 30 yards and then the normal 60 rushing yards Javonte Williams gets, you're fine with that play. And I think that kind of gets to what Tony Pollard's production is. So I have to play Javonte Williams at the volume he's been seeing right now.
I don't know if we answered this one, but just in case, Matt from Albert, Jerry Judy.
Yeah. Well, I had a ramble for 7 minutes, but I took Waddle over Judy.
Yes, good answer. And this is a rather large question. I'm not sure exactly what William is looking for in this question, but he says, how has fantasy football affected sports betting, if at all? Do you see any crossroads there, Joe, in your travels?
Yeah, I think the prop bets have become a little bit sharper, which was an area that I thought we could really, like, I was able to capitalize on a lot more when we were doing early content from a gambling perspective at RotoWire. I do a lot of the draft content too, and I'm shocked at how much better the draft content is. And I wonder if the college prop bets are part of that reason too, that you'll see like or if it's just the information getting out to the parties that set that stuff from the draft prop side. But I think the prop bets overall, and it's not just like your sports books, but also the sites that do those, like DFS Pick'em is what it's like appropriately called, but the more or less on stuff that gets like set even harder because of those prop bets. And I think there's even less wiggle room because of fantasy kind of allowing those projections to be more prominent.
All right, Joe. Well, look, don't let it all get to you. All right. It's okay.
Too late.
You know, you got 2 hours.
This was cathartic, though.
On Sirius XM. Hopefully, we've gotten you off the ledge at least. At least you're maybe sitting on the windowsill right now instead of standing.
We're looking at the sky. That's for sure. Yeah.
It's a beautiful day here in central New York. I don't know what it's like in Wisconsin, but it's a beautiful day here in central New York. 70 degrees and sunny. So, yeah, don't worry. Better times are coming, Joe. Better times are coming. All right. Thank you, my friend. Always good to talk to you, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right. There he is. Joe Bartel giving us some love here. Fantasy football insider extraordinaire from RotoWire.com. You certainly want to subscribe to those guys. They just do tremendous work and they do give you really good advice. Look, fantasy is not truly predictable. I think what you have to do, and what the folks at RotoWire do, is they look at the numbers, they look at the matchups, they analyze everything that's analyzable, put it into a blender and say, hey, this is the chance for the best outcome. But as we know, that doesn't always happen. I mean, how many people was sitting in front of their TV when that game started last night and said, hey, man, the Niners are going to score the first 2 touchdowns of this game and be up 14-0. Like, nobody. I mean, I was like, come on, man, they are limping into this game. All they've got is Christian McCaffrey, and even Mac Jones is in some kind of cockamamie knee brace. You're like, good grief, man, this Niners team is a mess, limping into this game like a dead carcass, as Boy Green would say. And bang, they just look like gangbusters. They stop them. The defense looks good. The offense is marching down the field. Christian McCaffrey's doing Christian McCaffrey stuff. And I'm like, what is this game? This is not at all what I thought. So football is just not predictable. And it's been particularly unpredictable this year. And I don't know if that's going to settle in at some point or not. And we're going to find out who the pretenders are and who the contenders are. But at the moment, I don't have a damn clue. I don't have a clue.
All right, let me answer two things here. So first off, Phil says he's having issues doing picks on Instagram. You shouldn't. They are all up on our Instagram story right now. So for folks that are watching right now, because we're about to do our NFL picks against the spread, for the next 24 hours, you guys can prove that you're smarter than the experts. It's me. It's Manchild. It's NFL insider Matt Lombardo. PFF's Dalton Wasserman. You just had Joe Bartel on screen of RotoWire.com. Our former intern extraordinaire, internet, and then fans, you guys out there in the universe. It is our Instagram story. All you have to do is go to Instagram, go MC Show Digital. You'll see our profile picture, click it, and all of a sudden you'll see picks come up, and you can make all the picks. It should only take a matter of seconds. It's very easy and simple to do, so I hope you guys check it out. So,
like
yes.
left side, right side of the screen, isn't it? I think that's the way we do it. Are we still putting the graphic that way, or does it look different?
One more time, Lurch. Sorry,
is it left side, right side of the screen? Like I remember when.
Yeah, it's middle. Yeah, so it should be middle. So if you hit the MC Show, it'll say you'll see the question: who covers the spread? A big NFL logo in the middle, and then on the bottom of the screen, they should all be in the same place. It'll tell you the spreads. Dallas -2.5, Jets +2.5. They just pick the ones you think will cover the spread, and you go all the way through it. And Phil answered the other thing I was going to say is that for charity, Phil made a bet with me for the Red Sox Yankees thing that was a couple of days ago, and whoever won the series, which was of course the Yankees last night, money would be donated to my pop's charity for the Wounded Warrior Project. So money will be sent over to my pop. I did one this morning as well with the Boy Green Daily listener. So a bunch of money going to the Wounded Warrior Project, which is why I was totally cool with it either way, no matter what it went. So Phil, thank you for that.
So you lost that bet, right, BG?
I don't know. Well, to be honest, I assumed that he meant that I was covering Red Sox, but with how he said it, I guess maybe he was on Red Sox. But either way, I'm all for the charity effort. So I guess we didn't clarify that, but I made an assumption. Okay. So, but either way, I guess that's great. So I appreciate you sending that over, Phil. That means a lot.
Yeah, and a lot of people jumping in the comments. Yeah, so an unusual last name to say the least.
What's that?
For the Yankee starting pitcher last night.
Oh yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it, to be honest with you.
I think it's exactly the way it's spelled, but it's
okay.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. It is. So I'm not going to say
we're on the internet, but I understand.
We can say anything on the internet, but
that's true.
I do tend to like it, keep it clean. So
yes, of course. Well, real quick,
exactly the way it looks.
Real quick, because we had to sign off and go over to our NFL picks against the spread segment that will be up shortly on our YouTube channel. Again, Lurch can give another plug for this, but I'll throw it up here on our screen. No matter where you're watching, you could be watching right now on Twitter or my YouTube channel, but go to this YouTube channel where we're also streaming live right now and join the growing army. We're gaining new subscribers every day. When we reach 500 subscribers, and for people who are less initiated, subscribing is free. That costs no money whatsoever. It is free to subscribe. Go to this URL, youtube.com/MC Show Digital. Subscribe to the channel, and you're going to get a lot of cool content. That should be the number one reason you want to go over there. But the others, you can win all kinds of free giveaways. You join the channel for free, and you have a chance to win free stuff. Just interact with the channel. Well, all you have to do is subscribe, but interact with the channel and become a part of the family. We're a growing community here. It's going to be pretty cool. That is youtube.com/MC Show Digital. If you're one of the 125 watching right now, you can help us get closer and closer to 500 subscribers. So I highly recommend you jump over there and do it. You can open up another window on your phone, or if you're on your laptop, you can open up a new tab real quick. Super easy to do. Take full advantage. We're going to be doing awesome giveaways. And this particular one is for our $400 plus golf club that's going to be up for grabs. If you're one of our first 500 subscribers, you will be eligible. So good luck.
All right. And before we go, I'll throw one more up here, Boy Green. This is coming from over in the comments. Joe's not here, but we can try and answer this question. Javonte Williams, I'm assuming that's Javonte.
Oh, I thought that was Jameson Williams.
Could be. That's an interesting question. So
okay,
let's answer it both ways, all right? Because Jay Williams doesn't really help us. There are two Jay Williams in the NFL. So Jaggerbeck, if you're out there, maybe you could just quickly jump in and say Javonte or say Jameson. I thought Javonte and Tony Pollard for Rashee Rice and Swift. To me, I'm weary about this trade on the Rashee Rice Swift side until I know, well, we know when Rice is going to be back, right? He's going to be back week 7. Is that right?
It is Javonte for Jagger.
It is Javonte. Okay. All right. So it's receiver, running back. So it really is kind of preference here.
Swift is a running back, right? Yeah. So we have wide receiver, running back versus wide receiver, or running back versus wide receiver, running back, right? Because Javonte Williams is a running back.
Javonte. I just, for some reason, you said Javonte. I thought you were saying Jameson. I'm sorry. Okay, so it is 2 running backs for receiver, running back. Thanks for correcting me. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
You like Rashee to get right in there and get into it right when he gets back?
I do. Maybe it doesn't happen like literally week 7. Booyah! It's the Rashee Rice
That's
from
what you're
last
hoping
season.
for.
But I think shortly thereafter he's going to be really good. So I think it's worth it. Now the thing you have to deal with is, as far as I know, and I play a lot of fantasy, there is no fantasy league that allows you to put a suspended player in a separate slot that protects him, so you have roster flexibility. Yeah. Normally, that is restricted only to injury. So Rashee Rice is in your boat. He's a big rock. You can't play him. You can't put him in an injured spot. So you sort of just have to hold on to him. But of course, the potential upside is on the other side. Personally, I would probably make that swap-a-rooney because I think the Rashee Rice upside, depending on which side you are, I would go after Rashee Rice. I would.
Yeah, I don't know. Javante's kind of this group. Javante to me is the surest thing of them because Rashee will be eventually. But do you want to say? Here's the answer, Jagger, to me. Depends on where you are in the standings. If you're near the top of the standings and you're speculating for later in the season to try and win your league, then I make this trade because I think the Rashee Rice upside is worth it. And Swift is a serviceable player. And I think that's a very, very fair for Pollard. Swift could even end up delivering more than Pollard when it comes. He's on a little bit better team, in my opinion. But, both guys are a little injury prone too. So that's a little scary for me. Javante is really the proven entity so far in this.
He's been spectacular.
To stay healthy, he's been good. And Dallas doesn't look like they're moving off him. Heck, they haven't even brought Jaden Blue off the practice squad, for crying out loud. That guy's
actually, I believe he is on their active roster. I believe he's been on the roster this entire time. Just he hasn't been active.
Active, right.
But I've heard from a Cowboy source that he's expected to be active for the first time this week. So for whatever that means.
But he's still got 2 guys in front of him, and apparently he can't pass block.
That's going to be an issue.
Put him in there. So, he's probably just going to be a gadget guy, even when he gets in there, at least initially. He's probably a player that's not going to have an impact on the Cowboys till next year or very late this season. That's my
right. Javonte Williams has been one of the big surprises of football, and he's been great.
Pretty rock solid. He's been pretty rock solid. All right, we do have to sign off. I know we do. NFL picks. We got to get to that, which we'll post shortly after we pick them. For everybody that joined us today, hey, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back again live on Monday at 11 o'clock as usual. And, of course, we'll be at the big Jets game over the weekend against the Cowboys. Jets, Jets. Let's go Jets. We'll see if they can get their first win of the season. Nothing sweeter than beating the Cowboys. I always love that. All right, we'll see you next time, folks. Take care.